Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on transforming social media ads into revenue. I'm Bob Hogan, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County. I'll be your host today, and our presenters are Jennifer Derosa and Jeffrey Nelson. More on Jennifer and Jeffrey in just a minute, but first some brief information on SCORE. SCORE is a nonprofit national partner of the SBA with over 10,000 volunteers nationally. Locally here at SCORE Fairfield County, we have about 100 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise, and we offer 3 primary value-added services to small business owners. First of all, we offer free one-on-one counseling, and you can access that in person, via video, telephone, email, whatever works best for you. And you can do that by hitting the Request a Mentor link on our website, or you can do it via the link on the screen. Educational workshops and webinars, we also offer those like the one today. And lastly, we offer extensive resources on our website, including access to subject matter experts. Our next live webinar will be in 2 weeks on Tuesday, July 23rd at noon. And the topic is marketing a one-person service business with Cliff Enico presenting. Again, you can find more specifics on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. We also have a large number of recorded webinars on our website that cover a wide range of business topics, and you can view those at any time just by clicking on on-demand webinars. Just some logistics about today's events. We have set aside time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, so if you have a question, please use the Q&A button at any time during the presentation. It's generally located on the lower part of your screen. And Jennifer and Jeffrey will answer as many as we can up until the top of the hour. Our webinar will end at 1 o'clock to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be available on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, within the next day or so. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speakers today. Jennifer Derosa is the founder of Toto Coaching, an online webinar website building course with weekly coaching to help small businesses and entrepreneurs build a solid, effective website. She is an MIT graduate in no-code AI and ML, and author of Building Do-It-Yourself Websites for Dummies. Prior to forming Toto Coaching, Jennifer sold her successful website development agency, TechCare, so she could focus on coaching others. Prior to forming TechCare, Jennifer was a consultant for such major companies as MBCC, US Surgical, GTE, GE Capital, Unilever, and Calvin Klein. Jeffrey Nelson is a certified conversion rate optimization specialist and seasoned marketer with over 2 decades of experience in sales and marketing for the real estate and mortgage industries. He founded his own digital marketing agency, Rain Giant, in 1999 to serve small businesses and service providers. I'll now turn it over to Jennifer and Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I think you're first.
Oh, well, thank you, Bob. It's a thrill to be here. An honor, actually, to have an opportunity to meet with folks in Fairfield County. And my partner, Jennifer, I got to tell you, Jen, you got a tremendous list of accomplishments there on your slide. I could only come up with half as many. So it's a privilege to be working with you as well.
Yeah, thank you. So welcome everybody today. Hopefully you're going to learn a lot. We're going to be talking about ads today. Social media ads can be very confusing and can be difficult. So we're going to give you some ideas. Maybe you haven't thought about running ads the way that we're thinking that we're going to show you today. Maybe you've been trying to run them and you've been wasting a ton of money. That's usually what we hear from people who come to find professional help. So I don't know, Jeffrey, if you want to advance the slides to maybe about the first one that we have here.
Yeah, I'm going to get into asking some questions here to better get to know each of you, and just to help you understand, as a small business owner myself, I totally understand the frustration. If you've run ads before, running ads now, and you're just seeing your money kind of disappear into the void, I totally get that. Very frustrating. In fact, that's what helped me get to where I'm at today. I got so fed up with it that I decided to learn how to do this, and that's what we call conversion rate optimization. Basically, businesses hire us to figure out what it takes to get people to stop that scroll, when they're in their news feed, and click an ad and go onto your website and do something, whether it's to opt in as a lead or new subscriber, or make a sale on your website. So in addition to working with private businesses, I am fortunate to get to coach businesses every day on conversion rate optimization and see how techniques and strategies are applied to make improvement with social media ads. And so what Jennifer and I are hoping to share with y'all today, when I think of small business owners, what are the biggest things you can do now without being too complex that can move the needle the most? You know, you're all busy. You know, time is like your enemy because it's a commodity. Once you give it away, you can't get it back, right? So as I thought through what we want to present today, I'm not going to teach you how to become a conversion rate optimization specialist, such a long title there. Personally, I think I've got $30,000 to $40,000 invested into my training. What I want to do is just boil this down and again, focus more on what are the key things that help you to do that. But Jennifer and I do need to learn a little bit more about you. So we're going to use the chat box here. And the first question I have for y'all is if you're running any ads now. And
Wait,
it's really
Jeffrey,
simple. Whoop.
hold on, Jeffrey, we don't see your slides. We only see the first one, the transforming social media. This title slide from SCORE. Sorry, that's what I meant before.
So when I advance the slide, it's not moving the slides?
No, Jeff, it's not moving.
Oh, I was moving the slides forward, or at least I
There
thought
we go.
I was.
There we go.
Now I see Jennifer. See me.
Yeah. So as Bob was chatting, I was moving the slides. I was kind of proud that I was keeping up with where he was at. So poor Bob didn't have the slides.
That's okay.
You know, sorry
That's
about
okay.
that.
That's
But you
okay.
can all see it now. Excellent. Let me do this.
Isn't technology fun?
Oh yeah. Now you see my slide?
Yeah,
Yes.
there we go.
Okay.
Yes. Good.
Now here's what's comical. I use Zoom every day. So it's so funny that I can't get this right from the get-go. Anyways, jumping back in.
Here we go.
Here's the first question we have for you guys. And that is if you're running social media ads now. So if you can, in the chat box, you can put number 1, if you've never run ads before. Number 2, you've run ads in the past, but not now. And number 3, you're running ads now. So just throw that in the chat.
We're getting all over. So we're getting, I mean, a bunch of 1s, a bunch of 2s, and a bunch of 3s. So that's interesting. So we're going to try to talk to everybody here. So the people that are the 1s, we're going to try to give you some ideas, like for if you want to run ads, but, and then the people that, you know, that have already run them and the people, yeah, we're getting, so we've got, I think it's 30, 30, 30. If I have to get.
Oh, that's great. Let's go to the next question. For those of you who are running ads now, let us know what platform you're using. You can either insert a number, 1 for Meta, 2 for Instagram, 3 for Google, and so forth, or you can even just write in the platform that you're using. This just gives us a feel of where you guys are running your ads now. LinkedIn, that's great. We have some Meta, Nextdoor. Okay. Excellent.
Meta, which is good. Okay.
And give us an idea of how much you're spending. 1, if you're spending more than $500 a day, that'd be about $15,000 a month or more in ad budget. 2 would be more than $100 a day. That's $3,000 or more. And 3 would be less than $100 a day or less than $3,000 a month.
Yeah, we're getting mostly 3. So most people here, some 2s, some 2. So people are spending, you know, anywhere from 0 to, you know, probably maybe $200 a month or so.
Okay, this is great. This helps give me a feel of kind of where you guys are at, because with what Jennifer and I are going to share with you today, this is spot on. This is going to work out really well. I have one more question for y'all, and that is, which of these statements probably describes you best? 1, you're here because you want to learn how to run social media ads. 2, you're looking to get a higher return from the ads that you're running now. Or 3, maybe there's some of you who are here that whether you run ads now or not, you're looking for an agency to help you with that.
Okay, so most people want to DIY the ads,
Uh-huh.
right? Or they want to get more of a return.
Okay.
a few people are looking for someone to, and this is a thing, what we're going to present to you. Okay. So if you are a 3, if you've answered that 3 and you're looking for an agency to run ads, what will be really helpful from this presentation is we're going to give you some things that you should understand and research before you go and investigate. You can go on Fiverr, Upwork, and hire someone that way. You can go to an agency to run the ads, but these are some things for you to know. It's just like last night I was trying to look for an older computer for my husband, and so before going and just buying one, I'm doing research. So before you engage with a social media agency, if you want to do that or hire someone to help you with this, you should have some basic knowledge so you know what to look for. And so for the people who want to do it themselves, this is great. You will get some tips on things that maybe you didn't know about before.
All right, and with that, let's get into our agenda. What we're going to be getting into specifically, we're going to talk about these common pitfalls that we're facing and how to avoid them in our social media advertising. We're going to talk about strategies to enhance your ad effectiveness. We'll talk a little bit about budget use for those of you that maybe are just getting started with running ads, a way of looking at it and how you can do this and ultimately achieve some success. And then we'll also get into the power of imagery, one of my favorite segments. I'll have some actual examples, real examples, to share with you that I've utilized with local businesses, and then how do we convert those ad clicks into meaningful interactions and sales. So let me ask you guys this. If in the time that we have here today, if you can walk away with 1, 2, maybe 3 really good ideas that can help you move that needle with your social media ads, will that be time well spent? If so, throw a number 1 in the chat. Is that going to be time well spent for you guys? All right, awesome. And I do like to ask every now and then for your participation in the chat. Helps keep us engaged, helps me to see as I roll through information, what's resonating and so forth. So let's jump into this. With the amount of information we're going to be covering, you may feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant. So don't worry, we have packaged this into a downloadable document. If you have your mobile phone, you can pick that up now and open your camera and just scan the pink QR code that you see on your screen. And that'll take you to a page where you can opt in and be able to download the things that I'm going to cover today with what we're going to talk about. If you don't have your mobile phone, but you're on your desktop, that link that you see below the QR code, you can also visit. That will take you to the same page where you can opt in to be able to download. We'll also share this at the end of the presentation. So I really want to get into what we're covering. We are on limited time here, so I'm going to cover some ground fast. Let's first of all talk about these pitfalls that we fall into. I see businesses every day through coaching where they're pouring their hard-earned money, into ads, and they're just not delivering. And so these are some things that we look to avoid. First is this lack of strategy. A lot of times what we see is, let's just throw something up against the wall and see what works. We call that spaghetti marketing. You're just kind of throwing stuff up there, right? And so hopefully today you're going to be able to walk away with the very basics that help you see how you can formulate an ad and begin to test with to, again, start moving and getting better momentum. Actually, even maybe a little bit more of a science behind creating that ad. Because strategically, the way you guys want to look at this is you want to look at it from the long game point of view. As much as we all want to jump in and get results overnight with social media ads, it's really difficult and challenging to do. So we want to break it down into small bite-sized chunks, kind of like the way you eat an elephant, right? So we want to improve on our strategy. Something that's contrary is how you target. For many of you here, chances are you're just in a local area, and so you have borders per se of where and how you can target. And one of the mistakes I see a lot of times is that we try to target too perfectly. And so one of the things I'm going to suggest is that you actually broaden your targeting. So if I'm working with a business that is in the greater Fairfield County area, I'm going to suggest that we actually target everyone in Fairfield County. I understand and realize not everyone in Fairfield County is ever going to do business with you. But what you're going to find is that you're going to rely on your copy your message. If you can create a message that resonates with your audience, they'll come out of the woodwork for you. Because if you narrow your targeting too much, then what happens is you get ad fatigue. Your ads just, people have seen it too many times. They fatigue, and you're constantly creating more creatives. And that's what takes us into the other pitfalls that the creatives were.
Jeffrey, hold on real quickly. Can I just ask you, so just for people who've never run ads before and don't understand that, going back to the targeting. So just, can you explain a little bit, because people might not understand that you have the ability to target specific people in a particular area, and maybe you can just talk about what that means about targeting. Like, that means, as far as I understand, is that you can show your ad to particular people, either based off of different things. So can you just talk about that a little bit, about what that means?
And what I'm going to tell you not to do that. And the reason why is this: especially if you're running Facebook ads or even Google ads, the challenge is when you're a local business, when you try to narrow your audience to be more specific to who your customer is, your audience gets too small. And so your ad gets shown really fast, repeatedly, to those same people. And that's what we call ad fatigue. And so I'm going to give you a contrarian strategy, and that is to broaden your target to all of Fairfield County, or wherever your business or businesses are located. Yes, you're going to pull in people who, those eyeballs may never do business with you. But what you're going to see by the time we're done today is that when you have messaging that's spot on, you're still going to be able to pull out your ideal prospect, and your ads won't fatigue as often. Because that's the next issue that we run into, is that creatives are not, they're just ineffective. They're bland, lackluster. And with social media, I think we all know how much the visual plays a role. And probably one of the biggest myths to dispel real quick, though, is what the goal of your image is. The goal of your image is to get people to stop scrolling. Doesn't matter if they're, on Google, on Facebook or Instagram. The whole role of that image is just to get them to stop scrolling, because it's just filled with noise and distraction. And so you'll see here in a little bit, when we get into images, a different way of looking at them in terms of the purpose and what you're trying to achieve with that. The next thing is looking at waste, looking at a couple of real basic metrics that can help you understand if your ads are ineffective. Is one, cost per click. How much are you paying every time someone clicks on your ad? And if that cost keeps climbing, that's an indicator that your ads are ineffective and it's time to make a change. The second thing is going to be your conversion rate. Depending on what your goal is on your website, to get someone to opt in, to get someone to buy, if your conversion rates are poor, that's another indicator that your ads aren't working. So without getting too detailed of all the different metrics, when you're a small business, you're trying to do this on your own, those are just two major metrics that you can monitor to know if things are getting better or if they're getting worse. And so, as I kind of already touched on, the key here in your broad targeting, why would I want to target and a number of people that's maybe 2 or 3 times more, and they're not exactly the interests that I could target within the platform? See, with Facebook and Instagram, you can select interests to target, right? The challenge is when you're in that local area, you're going to restrict the size of your audience. And this is where you're going to learn to get better at effective copywriting. And I'm going to show you a live example here in a few minutes, how you're going to be able to do this. In fact, what I'm going to suggest here is, Jennifer, as we go into this next segment, whatever you're all doing right now, remove any distraction that you might have. Don't pay attention to your email. If you have Slack open, which is my major distraction, close that out, because over these next couple of minutes, what I'm about to share with you could truly change the performance of your ads. So I don't want you to miss this out. Let's talk about this effectiveness. And it all begins with knowing your audience's pain. This is what gets attention and can help you to establish relevancy. the key to this, when you can understand your audience's pain, the purpose and reason is because then you can deliver empathy. The next time you're scrolling through your newsfeed and you see ads targeting you, look at the ad and ask yourself, does this advertiser get you? That's what empathy is. When someone reads an ad and they go, wow, I think this person gets me. And it's because you're able to address some frustration or even just some aggravation that they may have that regards your product, service, or offering. So this is the first step, is understanding your audience's pain. And this is why,
Jeffrey, this is also true, like, for anything that we're doing. So most of the people on this webinar probably are small business owners or work for a small business, or we're thinking about starting a business, right? Maybe you're on your lunch break and you're thinking about starting a business. Okay. And this is a thing that, if you follow any of the webinars that I do and what we talk about, is understanding your customers' pain points. A lot of people skip over this step. They skip over the step. They're like, I need to go create a website. And they just start throwing stuff onto a website, or they decide they're going to start running ads and they just put something together, or they decide they're going to try to do any other kind of like mailings or anything. You have to understand your customers' pain points. And how do you do that? There's a lot of different ways to do it. We're going to show you some ways here. But this is one of the things I've talked about is doing a buyer persona and understanding your customer. But this step, while it may seem like really a pain to do or whatever, this is the most important thing, because you want your customer to, when they see your ad, say, oh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Or when they come to your website, oh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. That is your goal. So skipping this step, which most people do because they're not marketers and we just think we got to go out and do, will hurt you in the end. It will waste your time.
and hey, Tanya, I see your question in the chat. I just assure you, at the end when we get to Q&A, we'll make sure to cover that about the targeting there. So, you know, what Jennifer is saying, it's spot on. It's better to do a little bit of homework before you get started. And that begins with what we call a buyer blueprint. What exactly is in a buyer blueprint? It goes beyond, maybe you've heard the phrase persona or avatar. This goes much deeper than that. This gets into more deeper psychographics. As you can see on your screen, a lot of bullet points. Try to imagine for a moment, because when you look at these bullet points, you can be like, oh yeah, that's great, Jeff, but man, that looks like a lot of work. And it is. I mean, think about it. A few years ago, you'd have to hire a market research firm to get all this data gathered, right? And it's hard to compete with the big boys because that would take a lot of budget to do that. But imagine for a moment, if you could have more detail on these bullet points, how much more prepared you are in terms of understanding your audience, who they are, and the things that agitate them. Because here's what it boils down to. Would you all agree that, sadly, human behavior means that to take action, I'm more likely to do it to avoid pain than to gain pleasure? You know, I'm not the one who came up with that. That's just the kind of way it works, especially when we're dealing with cold traffic in social media ads. We have to agitate and then deliver empathy to demonstrate that we understand them, that we get them. That's what starts to pull people into your orbit. So to be able to do that, it's kind of like an onion. You got to pull a lot of layers back. So this screen can look a bit overwhelming, but I got great news for you guys. What if you could produce this in less than 60 seconds? And that's the beauty of AI and how it has helped in a lot of ways. So I'm going to stop my share here.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to, while you're pulling that up. So
Great.
For some of you who, I do other webinars on AI, okay, how to use ChatGPT for SCORE. Okay, I did one live up in Fairfield County in January. Okay, I think it was January. Anyways, if you have not used AI before, or if you've used it a little bit, and maybe you're nervous about what to do, we're going to walk you through some of that, because this is the thing. You want to get familiar with using it because there's going to be more and more things coming along. Like you came into this webinar thinking you're just going to learn about social media ads, which is what you are going to be learning about. But to get where we need to get to make them effective so you don't waste money, we are leveraging AI. And this is one example. So you're going to see other people, other presenters using AI as part of how they get to the end result. So you want to get familiar with it. You want to use it as much as possible. Okay. So this is one example we're going to be showing you here. So I'm just trying to get everyone, keep using it, keep using it, keep using it. Don't be afraid of it.
Throw a number 2 in the chat if you have used AI before, whether it's Chat GPT, Claude, Bard, Google, just to give us an idea. Okay, great. Excellent. So in this example, I'll be using Chat GPT, but you can do this with any of the platforms. So ahead of today, I looked into Fairfield County for an actual business, and I have no idea if this person is here with us on this webinar or not, but I just decided to choose her website as our example. And so this is someone who's offering bookkeeping services. And the first thing I did was, when you read this site, and I'm not here to critique her site, all I want to say is that on the messaging on this site, it's actually a good start. It is a little bit more specific than what I would normally see on a bookkeeping service site. But I have this really corny saying: to be terrific, you got to be specific. And all that means is the more that you can narrow your focus on who you are, what you stand for, and who you serve, the easier time you're going to have standing out with social media ads. So I came to her services page and started reading this, and right away, this caught my eye. It's like, okay, here's something that's really specific that would stand out to law firms, and more than likely, the type of prospect that she'd want to attract that would have the type of budget to support her services. So I'm just focusing on this single part of her service. So now let's get to how you produce this buyer blueprint. So I'm going to go into Chat GPT, and I've already run this just for the sake of time. Again, the download that Jennifer and I are sharing with you, and we'll put that QR code up at the end of the presentation in case you haven't done this yet. When you opt in, you're going to download the document with these prompts in it. I'm giving you these prompts to use for yourself. And it's really simple. When you get into the document, it'll talk about the very first prompt. And all you're doing with that first prompt is starting with the word search, all the way down to the instructions right here. You're just copying and pasting that into the chat. And there's only 2 things you need to do. You need to fill in your niche and your avatar. Your avatar is who your target audience is. Now, quick tip on the niche. The goal here is simply to describe what it is that you do. This is not an area to be salesy or try to be convincing. This is more of a matter of fact type of thing. So that's why you see I just copied and pasted right directly from her website here. So this is my first prompt in the chat, and all I did after I pasted this in, which ended here at the bottom, I hit my enter key. And now I let AI.
And just to explain, Jeffrey, just to explain to people. So these are, just so if you can scroll up a little bit, these are when you see something in a square bracket. Okay. So see how you see niche and you see avatar, they have square brackets around them, and then it's equal. What that's doing is it's creating what's called a variable. And so later on, when you give the prompt, it's going to fill in wherever you have niche with those square brackets or avatar with square brackets. It's going to fill in the variable what it's equal to. So it's going to replace what's there, just so you understand what this is doing. Okay.
And Kristen, I see your question. So in Chat GPT, I'm on the premium model, by the way. I don't know if you even need to be on the premium model to be able to run the prompts I'm about to share with you. But at the very top, if you can see my mouse where I'm highlighting here, I would just click and create a new chat to run this in. So you start a new chat. Let me see if this will, I'll open one in a new tab so you can see what that would look like. Now, it may not look exactly like mine, but the bottom line is down here where you see the cursor blinking at the bottom of the screen. This is where you would paste in the prompt. So if I were doing this from scratch, I'm going to copy the prompt real quick here. Again, this is all in the document that you'll be able to download. All I do is copy and paste that in. And then the instructions tell you just to fill in the niche and the avatar.
Yeah, I
yes.
think everyone has a 4.0. You don't have to have a paid version. And if you're not using it a ton, it's okay. Don't get the paid version. If you start using it more and more and you want to get the paid version, you can, but you don't have to. But I think 4.0, everyone has 4.0. Don't worry so much about, 4.0 is supposed to be leap years ahead, or many years ahead of the other ones, but just get into it and do this. Don't start worrying about the versions. Okay. And if you have a paid version, let's get in and just try this first.
This will work on any version. If you have access to the latest versions, it just helps improve the language a little bit more. But I start on 3.5 with these prompts. So as they would roll out the next version, I just noticed, oh, the messaging's getting even more clear. So this works if you're at the very basic level, or if you're on premium and have access to the latest version of ChatGPT, it'll work there as well. So again, Michelle, the prompts are going to be in the download that you'll be able to access here at the end of our presentation. So you're gonna have everything I'm about to share with you. So this is how you would start your first chat. Now I'm going to go back to the chat I've already run. Again, all I did was fill in the niche and the avatar. Again, the avatar is your customer. Try to be as clear as possible if that is all. In this case, I was just slightly more specific. Rather than law firms, I put family law firms. So I hit enter, and now this is ChatGPT spitting out its analysis. And as you heard Jennifer mention a moment ago, these words were in brackets. These were the variables. And what's happening is AI is now filling this in for you. And this is where the magic starts to occur. So as you can see, I'm beginning to get a deeper, this is a deeper dive into understanding your customer, where we get into their complaints, their secondary complaints, get into what their objections might be, where there might be confusions that they have. These are really helpful, knowing what their fear is, what they think is a solution, but may not be. And those can lead into the beliefs that they have that sometimes we have to overcome. And then finally, it gets into the other alternatives available to them, but often are more expensive. So once you have this, the second prompt that I suggest you use, which is this one right here, all you're going to do, this is all on the doc. You're going to copy right off the doc and paste it in here and hit the enter key. And all this prompt is doing is just refining what AI is giving you, because you want to be relatable. You want to come across as being conversational and informal. So all this prompt is doing is saying, hey, AI, I want you to make this less formal. I want a really simple sentence structure and make word choice very simple. We don't want a lot of jargon in here. And the funny thing is I've used AI so much now, I can read something and I can tell you if it was generated from AI or not, because it's becoming more and more evident that AI likes certain words it wants to use. And so you're saying, don't use these words to avoid things looking so AI-ish. So
I would add craft and dive into that list.
Absolutely.
Cannot stand it. Craft and dive in. You see that, and I do use those words once in a while, but it's clearly AI.
So one of the beauties to these prompts is this is your starting point. You can certainly improve on them, like what Jennifer just said. So you start to discover more words like what Jen just mentioned. You add them in here and you're improving your own prompt. And Jenny, I agree with you. Claude is even more conversational than ChatGPT. So you can also take these prompts into these other platforms, run them, and compare which ones sound better, which ones are outputting, giving you a better output. So as you can see right away, look at the difference between the first result and the second result, how much more simplified this is. So again, this takes you into a deeper dive of the buyer's blueprint. And now that's step one. I mean, isn't this amazing that when you do this in 10 seconds, you have this kind of data for yourself on your ideal customer. It's amazing. This gets even better. So the third prompt, these all stay in this continuous chat, by the way. I'm not starting a new chat each time because these prompts feed off of the data that you're generating. So in this next prompt, I'm going to target a solution-aware audience. Solution-aware means that they're aware of what it is you have to offer, but they have certain pains and frustrations and agitations in regard to that. The difference is this: you have a product-aware audience and a solution-aware. Ideally, you're always aiming first for a solution-aware audience, because that means people have traveled further in their customer journey, so they're closer to what it is you have to offer, and they're likely closer to making a buying decision. Whereas if they're just product aware, or I'm sorry, problem aware, they know they have a problem, but they don't know the solution, they're way up here in the journey. Those people, you have to take more time to educate, to bring them down that journey before they're ready to buy. So I always begin with targeting. I want my copy to target a solution-aware audience, to give myself the best chance of grabbing that low-hanging fruit per se. So in this prompt, without getting really detailed, this prompt is just going to help you uncover statements of pain and frustration. Chances are the way your customer might say it. So all you do is copy and paste this prompt in, just like all the previous ones. And notice I've added my writing guidelines. Keep it simple. You know, I don't need fancy language. I don't need jargon. And this will spit out.
Jeffrey, hold on. Also, that what he's showing you there, you can also put that at the top of the prompt and say, always use this formality for everything going forward. So you can also do that too. Tell it one time at the beginning.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jen, although there's been times I found it loses it. The deeper, what I'm showing is a multi-prompt. So start with what Jennifer said. And if you do see that it's losing it, the deeper you get into it, then you just might re-add your guidelines to keep it along. So because the prompting I'm showing you, a lot of prompts you get, it's like a one-time prompt. You insert the prompt and it spits something out. This is more advanced stuff. You guys are stepping right up into that intermediate category with these prompts that Jennifer and I are sharing with you here. This is what we're doing. You're doing pre-prompting into your prompting. So congratulations. You guys probably didn't realize that before today, that you're coming out of this with a degree in AI. So, but look at these pain statements. Look at how they're personalized and they're specific to one pain point. You know, I'm worried about getting fined because of these accounts. Now, I had no idea what this IOLTA account type of thing was. But once I started running the prompts, I realized, oh my gosh, this is a big deal for law firms. They have a lot at stake. And we all know that the more that something's at stake and the more we can associate and deliver empathy, so they know that we understand, we're in a better position to help people to move and take action, because that is your biggest enemy that you're up against. It isn't your competitor. It's getting people, you know, to do something. It's just easy to make no decision. So each of these statements are a personalized pain point, and they're around a different angle. And this is where we get into the third prompt here. And when we go back to my slides here in a moment, you'll see that this is the next piece of this. One is to understand the pain of your audience. Two is to have a as clear as possible offer. And so this next prompt helps you to do this. And so again, all you're doing is you'll go from the document and you'll copy it and paste it in here. And this prompt is what we call power offers. This is going to be mostly ideal for local service providers, coaches, consultants, agencies. And what this prompt will do, you'll notice I give it examples. The more you pre-prompt, then the more you can get AI to produce more closely to what it is that you're looking for. This will spit out five ads basically. And in this case, these ads are very clear. When I'm coaching businesses on their advertising, this is probably one of the bigger mistakes I see, is that their ad isn't really clear. What is this about? Who is it for? And what's the promise? Those are the three things that I look when I'm looking at ad copy, or I'm even writing my own ads. Who is it for? What's it about? And what's the promise? And so this is, ad number one. Again, our goal was to target a solution-aware audience. So anyone who is experiencing pain and frustration, they're already aware of the solutions out there. This is what is going to help you to provide as much clarity as far as what is that you do and how you can help them. And what I want you to notice is right here, this is the sentence that's pulling from the previous data into this ad that is about empathy, about relating. And I got to move a little bit quicker here, but you'll see in each of these, each one here covers a different pain point. Okay, so I want you to think now strategically about running ads. I'm trying to make it simpler for you, so you can have a smarter plan. And I'll touch on this a little bit later, but we're eventually getting into what's called A/B testing. You're just running one ad and comparing it against the other. All we're changing here is a single variable, and that's the pain point, to see which angle of empathy is it that's relating most with your audience. So hopefully you're starting to realize, okay, there's a game plan that's developing here. So that's the end of these prompts, with the goal to again output ad copy that you can copy and paste directly in, and start with testing your ads. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to go back to my slides.
So this is one of the things that you want to do if you're running your own ads. And if you're working with an agency, you want to make sure that this is the type of thing that they do for you. So you don't have to know their prompts and if they're using AI or not, but you just want to make sure that so if you've been working with an agency who you have not been getting back this rich type of data, I don't care how they produced it. I'm talking about if you just got back a couple ads and they're not performing well, this could be why. And this is the same thing with your website and any other strategy you're doing online, your digital marketing piece. You want to go back to this information here. This is what's important.
So when you focus on, there's a lot to do. If you compare it to what I just shared with you and what I do for a living, I get much more granular in figuring out what makes people click. I'm trying to give you the boulders, the things that would help you, again, move that needle the quickest. When you do these things, when you focus on the pain point and the offer, relating to your audience is what the pain point is about. The offer is about clarity, about what you do, who it's for, and what the promise is. That's when you can start to see your conversion rates going up. Here, a financial planner that I worked with going through very similar, a 32% conversion rate. That means that out of every 100 people I was sending to his site, 32 were opting in, giving him a lead cost below $6. To put that in perspective, a lot of financial planners, $50 or more per lead that they would typically spend in running ads. But when you, again, have messaging that resonates with your audience, these are some of the things that are possible. Metal buildings. Come on, are you kidding me? Metal buildings are a commodity. In this case, the client, though, specifically needed to attract people who could afford a metal building. And someone posted in the chat here, I closed my chat, but someone posted about pleasure points. In this case, we know that the pain is they have too many big boy toys. That alludes to the type of buyer they are, right? Not enough space. So here we're able to kind of pick on a pleasure point, but indirectly it's still painful. And then the third example is a grief counselor. Grief counselor, again, working in their local area. What's different here is that in understanding the grief counselor's business, I was able to uncover that his most profitable clients were parents who had lost an adult child. Remember, to be terrific, you got to be specific. And because we got more specific, his ads really stood out. They stand out now. We're booking calls, and you can see his conversion rates was over 25%. So every 100 people bringing to his page, or 25 are opting in, his cost per lead's under $2. When you're getting opportunities at such a low rate, it affords you more chances and things that you can do to take those opportunities and convert them into sales and revenue. So if we talk about budget, and Jen, I am picking up the pace just a little bit here because I want to get into the images. As far as budgeting, it's actually pretty simple. Start small. If you haven't advertised before or you're running ads now, have the mindset of getting into the long game. $10 a day, that's only $300 a month. That's a great starting point. And the mindset to have is not, I'm going to run an ad and everyone's going to come get my offer.
No.
Run an ad to learn.
To learn.
Run an ad to learn from it. Those learnings will help you to slowly build momentum and find that breakthrough. Once you have the breakthrough, then pour your money into it. That's when it would make sense to do that.
And I think a lot of people who hire people or they start running ads, they go in and they start running the ads because they want, and they're like, I'm running ads and no one is buying my stuff, or no one's downloading this, or no one's doing that. But that literally is a mindset shift you have to change in the beginning, unless you feel like wasting your money. But if you really want to save your money and your time and your effort, this does take time and effort, by the way, to be running this testing. You can't do a test on 2 or 3 days. You're not going to be able to get it. It takes a longer period of time, but you need to dedicate that time to figure out what your audience really resonates with the small amounts of money. So this is the strategy that you want to use in order to have effective ads later on. You have to put in the time and the effort in the beginning.
Alina, thanks for your comment, by the way. Just so y'all know, I did eat my Wheaties this morning, so I'm like really pumped here to be covering this with y'all. All right, I want to jump to imagery because that's the other key component where you can move the needle the most. And to break this down, there are just certain types of images that you can create. And this is really fun. Jennifer, I think you're in the wrong business, by the way. I think you should be like a graphic designer because I've seen this gal just whip stuff up out of thin air. And it's truly amazing.
Nice.
Yes, very good at that. So let's talk about the types of images. Remember, the goal of the image is to stop people from scrolling. That's it. Your ad copy is what qualifies your audience and determines if you want them to click and go through to your website. So what's the first type of images? Stock photos. Believe it or not, stock photos still play a role. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best images to work with, but believe it, this is my graphic design. So if you're looking at this going, ooh, that doesn't look real sexy, it's okay. In fact, sometimes you'll find ugly wins. So don't be afraid of testing that. Let the test help you decide if it works or not. Put up a beautiful graphic, put up an ugly graphic as an ad, and see which ad outperforms the other. So
and when you're doing that, Jeffrey, one of the ideas is you want to run the same ad copy. Try different images for your $10. Run a whole bunch of them at once and try different images with the same ad copy on a low budget. You're not going for sales in the beginning. You are going to see which one gets the most interest.
So you'll see in this image, if you can read the headline at the top, notice how I bring in my pain point. This is targeting brides. Brides aren't interested in vendors. They're interested in looking good the day of their wedding. And so that's where I'm targeting. And that's what gets them to stop the scroll. What's this about? Gets them to click through. Here's another example of a stock photo. Notice that you don't know what this is necessarily about yet. You just know this has something to do with a couple and romance. So for someone who is in this circle, they're going to stop and go, what's this about? So then they start reading that ad copy and then deciding if they want to click through. One of my favorites here is this gal. And sometimes at first look, you might feel like that's silly. It is in regards to this particular client, which was a local client. And you can see in the headline, it had to do with caregiving. Again, we focused on the pain point. because that's the first place we're trying to relate. And could you also test pleasure points instead of a pain point? Absolutely. In the end, it's all a test. So hopefully you're starting to really see how these pieces I'm introducing to you are starting to come together. Let's get into the second type of image, which is the transformation. I skipped ahead on my slides here. Bear with me one moment. So transformation is one of the best forms of imagery that you can do. In this example, you'll see it. This is performance-based. I'm just doing a before and after based on performance. So if your solution is something that's designed to help impact people's performance and it's measurable, you can make a graphic out of it. Notice this graphic's not fancy. That's not the goal, to try to explain everything you do. It's just to get their attention, right? To stop the scroll. On the next one, this is emotional based. I'm comparing emotions. Simple, a lot of times, wins out over complex. You can also do what I would call time-based, where you're just comparing a time frame as your before and after. So look at transformation a few different ways and think about, how can I relate what we do to our ideal client and relate that to their pain? This is the pain before, the after, would be the pleasure. All right, next type of graphic. This little bugger, it's amazing how effective it works. It's called a Venn diagram. I never knew, believe it or not, what a Venn diagram was until I learned how to test. A Venn diagram is nothing more than circles that overlap with the intersection demonstrating a benefit. So this is an example of a two-circle Venn diagram. You can get fancy on these. You can have a three-circle Venn diagram. Notice the headlines. Again, I'm just staying with my pain points here. And you can even get into a five-circle Venn diagram. So Venn diagrams are very intriguing. That's, I think, what makes them valuable. It gets people to stop the scroll. It doesn't necessarily convince you what it is that I do, because that's not my goal. It's simply to get you to stop scrolling so you can read my ad copy and decide, hey, is this what I'm looking for? And getting the click there. And then finally, there's AI. There's AI images. Even in ChatGPT, you can run images. Now, I believe this might require the premium version, but they have it now where you can even edit within the image to keep getting AI to give you the image closest to what you're looking to do. So I wanted to get to these images because they do play a critical part in your testing. Hopefully what you're seeing now, as I get to here, the things that we've covered, thinking about the pitfalls that you're trying to avoid, most importantly, is today helping to give you more of a strategy that you're feeling less like, I don't know what I'm doing, versus, I'm starting to get a game plan. At least I'm starting to get a little science behind this, method to the madness. Strategies to enhance your ad effectiveness relate to the AI prompts that we shared, helping you to get the buyer blueprint. As far as your budget, play the long game. You've seen how images can play a role, and when you stack these things together, that's how you can then drive more qualified traffic and get those meaningful interactions and sales going on your website. So with that, for those of you that missed this, here's the QR code that you can scan with your camera, or grab the URL link at the bottom and go to the page. You just opt in with your name and email, and you'll get access to the document with those prompts that I was sharing. Take advantage of that. Within 60 seconds, you got that buyer blueprint all the way down to ads you can begin testing with.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks, Jennifer. We have some time left for questions. And just a reminder, if you have a question, please put it into the Q&A box, and we'll take as many as we can up until the top of the hour. I know some people were putting them in chat, but if you could re-put them into the Q&A button, that way we won't have to scroll back through that chat. So anyway, I think there was one maybe, Jeff, that you want to take. We said we'd get back to earlier while we're waiting for somebody to come in here.
So depending on your platform with targeting, some platforms allow you to narrow your target into interests that might relate to what you have to offer. The question had to do with, do you target counties? Depends on the platform. In most cases, if I'm a small business and I'm brick and mortar, so I'm relying on people to come to me, chances are your target is just going to be the city that you're in. It also depends on how far will your clients travel to meet with you. And so that in itself can be a test. Sometimes when you're getting started, even though you want your ads to convert, you're just trying to figure out how far can I expand my radius and grow the size of my audience.
Great. I'm sure there are lots of questions, so please take the opportunity to put them in, because we do have 5 minutes or so here. So just wait for a couple.
Another one. Wesley was asking about prompts for creating images. Wesley, believe it or not, sometimes prompting is really easy. I'll just go into a chat GPT and I'll say, create an image, and you just describe the kind of image you want. AI is accelerating so fast with the language learning models on its output that it's surprising how much better it's getting at your images. So I would just jump into ChatGPT as long as you're able to create images with it, and just start writing the kind of images you want and see how they spit out. And before you know it, you'll start to see a pattern of your own prompting. Sometimes I'll start with a basic prompt, but by the time I'm finished, I have added what I want to make that prompt even better. And that's how I end up creating my own prompts within my business there.
Just one from, sorry, go ahead, Jennifer.
No, I was gonna say, Kristen asked, when you fill out the form, you go to another page and you have to click the button to download it. Hopefully that is working. Okay. So you would need to download the form on the second page. Yeah, I'll send it to everyone who's requested it anyways, or you might get an email too. But one thing, I mean, we're talking a lot about, using AI, which is great. So, I mean, I don't necessarily want that to be you want to use that as a tool. So the purpose of this was to not really, we want you to get into the mindset when you are running the social media ads, if you want to save money, okay, and save time and effort, is you want to do these micro testing. So you want to test a lot as you go along. And, it takes time. I'm telling you, it takes time. You have to set up all your accounts. You have to set it up all properly. You can create this ad copy, get the copy together. You got to find or choose or make the images, whatever that is. Run the ads. It takes time. This is not going to happen next week. So don't think you're going to start an ad next week. I mean, maybe you'll be lucky and then you'll get a ton of sales, but you want to start in the beginning by changing your mindset of doing testing before you dump money into this.
Okay, we have one from Rathan. My business is B2B in technology areas like digital transformation for manufacturing industries. Will AdVT help since it requires relationship building?
Absolutely. In fact, my advice to you would be, as far as creating a funnel simply means how you're driving traffic and achieving an end result. For B2B, more than likely, you want to get the relationship started by them opting in for something free in exchange for their email address. Now you're building a list, and you use email marketing, which costs next to nothing, to nurture that relationship and create opportunities from it. Meanwhile, they're getting to know you, which is building trust. We have a lot of success with B2B with testing and helping them to get into that list building mode. And then for some, eventually over time, because everything you're learning, you can reach a point where you can drive cold traffic and convert on a sales page. It just takes a lot of learnings to be able to achieve that.
We do have a question about do we have a part 2? I think we can take that into advisement, and obviously there's high interest. There's another one from Ashley. Which platform is best to start running ads on for beginners?
Great question. My advice would be Facebook, because it's the cheapest. Not always the best, depending on what you do, but it's a great place to start just learning. So if you have that mindset, I'd love to get an end result, but in the meantime, I'm just going to learn about my audience. That's where I always start all my testing. I utilize Facebook for it.
Okay, we'll take one last one from Matthew here. Do you think it's best to use ChatGPT to do a capabilities statement for a PTAC? The reason I ask is they have an example capability statement on their page, and this is for a professional cleaning service.
Quite frankly, on the is it for commercial or residential?
They're not saying.
Okay.
It just says professional cleaning.
Okay, let's just say it's for commercial. I'd still run those prompts exactly the way I'd set them up. The difference is you want to make sure they understand you're for commercial cleaning, so that you get statements that are more related to commercial that you can produce your ad copy from.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. That's all the time we have questions for. Just as a reminder to everyone, the webinar has been recorded and the materials will be available within the next day or so on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, under on-demand webinars. They'll also be emailed out a link. And our next live webinar is in 2 weeks at noon. And the topic is marketing a one-person service business with Cliff Hope presenting. Again, more specifics on our website. And again, if you'd like to take advantage of the free individual counseling, you can use the link that we showed earlier on the screen, or you can just go to our website and click on the Request a Mentor button. Also, we'd really appreciate if you could fill out your evaluations that will be sent at the end of the webinar. And on behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's live webinar. And in closing, a big thank you to both Jennifer and Jeffrey for presenting today. And enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.